Okay, well, it's been 2 years since I've last made a Minecraft video. That's partially because I haven't done a whole lot in the past 2 years. But for today, in time for Easter, I want to show off one project that I just recently finished, which is St. Peter's Basilica. Now, as with most of the other buildings in my Minecraft world, the Basilica is not a perfect one-to-one representation. It's just my interpretation. And as such, the surrounding area will be based on the Vatican, but also with just a little bit of Italian, maybe a bit of ancient Roman architecture thrown in. The plaza, I estimated the size of just based on maps. I used a Minecraft circle and ellipse generator to lay out the plaza. I didn't use quite the same plan for the colonnades because I didn't want to make it too busy. I was actually surprised that having the 4 rows of columns worked out as well as it did, considering that this is curving around. I have an obelisk here in the center. I used wall segments to get some of that taper going up. And then the basilica itself. Now, I was a little disappointed when I crunched some numbers after finishing it, and I realized that it is not as large as the real basilica. I actually opened up a copy of this world and tried making a copy of this basilica twice as large, but then I realized it didn't really matter ultimately. Both of them are large. The larger one is obviously larger, but it's almost a little too large. It's not as easy to navigate around. This one, I'm still working on some of the interior decoration. This is the narthex. I haven't put any doors in yet. I'm going to do that eventually. I did put some paintings up. I put some statues on the inside just to make it look a bit better. I do have the ancient Roman texture pack on, which I think fits the aesthetic of Baroque Rome just well enough. So this is going down towards the center of the basilica. Now originally, Michelangelo's plan for the new St. Peter's Basilica was to have it in the shape of a Greek cross, so that the front door would have actually been right about here. And that would have made the building mirrored across both the vertical and horizontal axes. Eventually, a different builder, I actually can't remember his name, decided to have a long narthex, like a lot of other churches, cathedrals, and basilicas. That's just what happens when you spend decades working on a monumental building, and you have to change planners, builders, architects. The baldacchino here in the middle was built by Bernini. The real one is cast in bronze. This one I tried to replicate the spiral columns. I still might work on it a little bit more. And the real one is actually not perfectly centered with the dome. It's a little bit over to the side. I didn't realize that until I was watching some reference videos. But down below, there are stairs that go to the necropolis with the crypt of St. Peter. In mine, I just have some generic tombs going down. Eventually, I might do something a little bit more clever with these. Oh, I have some villagers. But for the time being, that's my stand-in for the necropolis. Also, some of these statues are stand-ins. I just didn't want it to look so empty. Also built by Bernini is the chair of St. Peter. And in the real one, what is a representation of the Holy Spirit, a piece of artwork that combines light, sculpture, painting, all together to really overwhelm the senses. The starbursts of the real work by Bernini do actually go beyond the confines of what normal artwork would. And I try to represent that by having these starbursts go out, crossing the columns. Then we have the gigantic chair, St. Peter. Now, even though the interior, my basilica, is not exactly to scale, the diameter of the dome, somehow I did have exactly right, 42 meters across. And here I'm going to go up through the lantern and out so you can see a little bit of the exterior of the basilica. So I finished the basilica itself. Still want to do a little bit of artwork on the inside. But the structure itself is completed. Oh, another bit that I added are these domes right here and over here. Don't look like that in real life, but I wanted to have a little bit more of that symmetry that Michelangelo originally intended. I also made some adjustments when it came to the exterior facade and the placenta windows. That's just because when I first started this, I was freelancing and I didn't want to try to work too hard on making it perfectly accurate. Actually, I started this about a year ago while I was watching Tiger King on Netflix. I remember laying out the plan of the Basilica while watching that show. I started with some gardens, and I do have some walls around the city. These have nothing to do with the real Vatican walls. I'm just trying to follow the natural land as much as I can. And I just want to have a little bit of fun with it. This is actually an ancient Roman domus or townhouse. Like I said, I want to work a little bit of ancient Rome into this. Here we are in the atrium. We have a hortus here. And this is actually a large domus with a separate section with a peristyle and another atrium. We have a nice view of the basilica. In college, I minored in art and architectural history, and I took a couple of classes that went over ancient Roman art and architecture. And one of my Minecraft projects at that time was a city based on Rome. And I built some houses that were actually direct copies from the city of Pompeii. So here we have the basilica. The work, like I said, I started when I was watching Tiger King about a year ago, but then I put a pause on it for almost a year. It was about a month ago that I decided to come back to it and actually finish out the building with all the walls the floor, roof, and then all the constituent details. So I'm still working on it, but I think I will make another video and show off one of the other projects that I was working on. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.